My son's engagement party, my ex-husband joked that I was a failure who had ruined his life. I didn't argue. I just played a saved voicemail. The one where he was begging me last month to take him back. I never imagined that at my son's engagement party, a moment would come when the weight of my entire life, all my silences, and all the years of tolerance would stand right in front of me in a single jolt. But it happened. And I remember, like a knife turning slowly in my chest, that I was just standing by the table, holding a glass of Coke, when my ex-husband Mark laughed and said, "You know, guys, I survived a lot in life, including my ex-wife. She was a complete failure. Nearly ruined my 20s. People laughed. That forced kind of laugh people give just to avoid looking awkward. But that laugh sank into me like I was that same old, tired, wrong decision-making woman Mark had defined me as years ago. Evan, my son, who had just finished taking pictures with his fiancée, heard it too. He glanced at me with that sharp, protective look, like he was checking if I was okay. I smiled and lifted my hand a little, telling him I was fine. That's what mothers do, right? Break quietly, but never let their kids see the cracks. Mark kept spinning his beer and laughing with his buddies, treating me like a recycled punchline he could use whenever he wanted. Like I was still the woman who juggled the mortgage, the bills, the medical debt, and 2 part-time jobs while trying to keep some dignity intact, just so my son could have a better life. A few years ago, I truly believed I was a failure. That I had failed the marriage, that I hadn't done enough. After the divorce was finalized, I remember sitting on the floor of my tiny apartment thinking maybe Mark was right all along. But that night, I had decided I wasn't letting that man narrate my past anymore. Especially not in front of my son. When everyone gathered around the big backyard table for cake cutting, I walked toward Mark quietly. He was bright-cheeked, loud laughing, full of that fake confidence he always carried into social gatherings. When he saw me approach, he smirked and said, "Everything all right? Don't take jokes too seriously, okay?" I didn't say a word. Just nodded like the old silent Lisa. But I wasn't her anymore. I took out my phone. Opened the voicemail he'd left me a month ago, the exact month his second marriage had started falling apart, the month he suddenly remembered I was stable, a good mother, and the only woman who ever truly loved him. I pressed speaker. Mark's laugh died. Everyone else froze. His thick, shaky voice spilled out of the phone. "Lisa, please, just call me back. I made mistakes, I know that. I shouldn't have let you go. I'm not okay without you. I miss us. I miss everything. I'd do anything to have you back. Please. At least talk to me. Please." Silence. The backyard, strung with soft fairy lights, kids running somewhere in the distance, warm summer air, went still. Mark's face drained so fast it was almost like someone pulled the color out with a vacuum. I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before, fear. Real, sharp, exposed fear. His friends looked at each other. No one laughed. Not a single person. Evan stepped closer to me. His face had that same expression he had when he was a little boy, when he'd first realized bullies existed and people could be hurtful for no reason. Mark sputtered, "Lisa, turn that off. This is private. You're misunderstanding the context." I turned off the phone, slipped it into my purse, and said softly, "You called me a failure. I just wanted everyone to know how you talk when nobody's watching." He stood there, speechless. The man who always had something to say, always had a loud comeback, always needed the last word, today he had nothing. Evan took my hand gently. For the first time in years, it felt like the heavy, invisible curtain between us, the one made from years of me hiding pain and pretending everything was fine, had finally fallen. He looked at me not like a child looks at a struggling parent, but like a grown man finally seeing who his mother truly was. Not weak, not broken, but someone who had stood up when it mattered. The party picked back up, music playing again, people talking, forks tapping plates. But not for Mark. He stood off to the side, stiff, pale, like someone who had just watched his own reflection shatter. A little while later, his second wife, who clearly recognized a few lines of that voicemail, stormed out, slamming the gate behind her. Mark scrambled after her, stammering excuses, and for the first time, I felt like I wasn't tied to the chaos anymore. Like I'd stepped out of a storm cloud that had followed me for years. Driving home that night, the road lights streaking across my windshield. I felt my hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. Revenge isn't sweet. It's necessary. And necessary things are rarely gentle. At a stoplight, I whispered to myself, "You're not a failure, Lisa. You never were." And I felt it, quietly, deeply, somewhere I hadn't accessed in years. Like rediscovering a room inside myself that had been locked for too long. Life had taken its time, but it had handed me a small miracle. The miracle of seeing my own worth. The miracle of reclaiming the story of my life. The miracle of standing tall in front of my child. Maybe it was revenge. Maybe it was closure. Maybe it was both. But the real victory wasn't humiliating Mark. It was finally stepping out from the version of myself he created. And stepping fully, steadily, into the woman I really am. I wasn't part of his story anymore. I was the owner of mine.